I'm Jim Mackin. I'm a member of the Bloomingdale Neighborhood History Group and an amateur local historian, and just love showing off the neighborhood. And indeed, here I am in front of the oldest building in Morningside Heights, and that's the vestige of the old Leake and Watts orphanage from 1843. A lot of interesting history connected with the Leake family, the Watts family, the DePeister family. And I could tell you that only recently have we discovered that there was a cemetery on a map from about 1850 on the corner of 110th Street, sometimes called Cathedral Parkway, and Columbus Avenue. And we established with a little bit of research that that was connected with the Leake and Watts orphanage. There's some harrowing stories about how tough it was to be here. And yet you consider the alternatives. So with Halloween, they probably created some of their own scary stories as kids. And this part of Manhattan back in the 1840s, 50s, 60s, 70s, very different from what it is today. And at nighttime, there would be very few lights and things. And the kids probably had a lot of fun roaming around what soon became Morningside Park. A lot of cliffs there, caves. Boy, you couldn't get a better environment if you wanted to make much of Halloween. So here we are at about 117th Street off of Morningside Drive. Much of this terrain factored in very dramatically in the Battle of Harlem Heights. And the hero of the Battle of Harlem Heights was Thomas Knowlton, who, with his regulars, came up this difficult terrain before there was a wall that was built by the Olmsted team when they built Morningside Park. They came up this difficult terrain and surprised the British. Knowlton wound up dying in the Battle of Harlem Heights, somewhere around here. And then the story is that his body was taken a bit north on the old King's Road. It's interesting to think that the ghost of Thomas Knowlton could be associated with Morningside Park for all of his connection with the battle that took place right here. And there were many other people, both colonials and British regulars, that died in that Battle of Harlem Heights. This building, which has been called, even on the facade there, Buell Hall, Maison Foncée for a while, but when it got built in 1884 or 85 as part of the Bloomingdale Insane Asylum, it was called the Macy Villa. Josiah Macy, who was on the board of, I think even Columbia at the time, when Columbia was downtown, but certainly on the board of the Bloomingdale Insane Asylum, which was part of New York Hospital. Josiah Macy left money for this building to be built, and its function was to accept people with mental issues who could afford to pay for a little bit of luxury here. The main building, Bloomingdale Insane Asylum, is approximately where Low Library is, right up there. The interesting thing is that there are other vestiges of the Bloomingdale Insane Asylum, and maybe with some horrible history. So Dorothy Dix, if anybody recognizes that name, was a woman who went around the country and went to different so-called insane asylums. That's politically incorrect these days. And she would expose things they were doing that needed improvement, if I could put it that way. And what needed improvement? Well, not only conditions, but you also had the phenomena of wealthy people sending their spouses or relatives to an insane asylum just to kind of get rid of them. Cornelius Vanderbilt, the famous Cornelius Vanderbilt of New York Central fame, sent his son, Cornelius Vanderbilt Jr., to the Bloomingdale Insane Asylum on 2 separate occasions because he either overspent or he did things that the father was not all that happy about. I can only wonder about some of the stories here. Anybody buried in this location? I know Columbia's dug up a lot of stuff, which brings to mind Columbia has an extensive network of tunnels underneath the entire campus as part of their infrastructure. And the tunnels are officially off ground, so to speak, but still students talk about them all the time, and urban explorers, that's what they call them, are people that go to places like that. Halloween for a lot of youngsters means going out and trick-or-treating and then coming back and maybe bragging rights as to how much candy or apples or whatever you've collected. But I think even beyond that, kids still enjoy getting dressed up. Here in the city, people get pretty sophisticated with Halloween, which is a wonderful way of celebrating a different day. And I realize it has some real deep pagan roots, but it's nice to think that we still do that we still break away from the daily routine to bring our kids around to other places and participate in the simple ritual of trick-or-treat.
Let's we say about it.